I gave him the look like, you're kidding me, right? If you know somebody's beating up your son, you gotta stop it, man. You gotta say,
bow. Ryan Garcia hurts him. He's stumbly. He's trying to back up, create space, gets hit on the rope. Left hook, got him. You spot him, I got him. Uppercut, battering him. Now, this is the part. This is the part. Oh, my goodness. King Ryan Garcia is literally begging Bill Haney to stop the fight. At this point of the fight, he's dropped and hurt. The referee is not doing anything to save Devin Haney from himself. He's picking himself up, showing heart, but it's clear that he has no legs and he's concussed. Anybody with a brain can see this. Now, the danger is he's not a big puncher as is. If you know anything about boxing, you will know that power is generated from your legs. So to have a strong core, strong legs, look at guys like Pacquiao, look at his calves. Look at guys like David Tua, look at his calves, look at his legs, look at the build, right? Now, there are some exceptions, like Wilder doesn't have the biggest legs and he generates a ton of power, but in general, power is generated by the legs. So a guy who doesn't really have the firepower to keep this guy his age, who beat him in the amateurs, off him, he's pleading with Bill, like, basically, come on, what is this nonsense? Like, let's just call it a night, save your son from himself. You see the look of concern on Ryan Garcia's face. Let's watch it again. So after Ryan's doing great work battering him, he's walking with his hands low, pointing at Bill, saying, stop it, stop it. Devin's not throwing any punches, mind you. Ryan, again, continues to plead with Bill, like, what is this? Look, Devin is just sitting there. The man clearly has a concussion, and Bill could have stopped it. I mean, he's just sitting there in no man's land, reactive, waiting for Ryan Garcia. Devin Haney looks like a Mortal Kombat character select loading screen. Come on. This looks like a dang video game. He's just sitting there, not moving, waiting for his character to be selected. Finish him. Ryan wins. Fatality. That's what it seemed like Bill wanted. He's pleading with him. You see it. He has no guard. As a fighter, he has no guard up, his hands at his waist. He doesn't feel threatened. Everybody knows one of the first rules of boxing is protect yourself at all times. Ask Victor Ortiz. The man doesn't feel threatened if has his hands so low, and that means he's not looking at Devin as a threat. He knows Devin's hurt. Devin's not really punching back. Boom, he threw a punch and immediately got countered with a left hook. So all I could give Devin is showing heart. Punch, bout, hook, dropped again. And you see every time Ryan's waving it off, like, nah, this is over. Nah, man, I don't know what arrangement Harvey Doc and Devin Haney and Bill Haney had, but that fight should have been stopped. Ryan was getting on the turnbuckle, celebrating at times. Ryan Garcia was putting his hands up like, that's it, like wave it off, so to speak. He was literally walking up to Devin Haney like he's Roy Jones Jr., which I said live in real time on the Boxingego watch party. Catch me for the big fights. So Boxingego watch party, I said that. I said, man, this man, Ryan Garcia, he has some natural talent because he's literally walking up like Sergio Martinez, Maravilla, like Roy Jones Jr., walking up with no guard, hands low at his waist. And again, if you know boxing, you know there's no level of threat that the person feels. Now, we've seen these clips like when boxers showboat too much and it goes wrong, but that wasn't the case here. I think Ryan, knowing Devin so well, knowing that he had beat Devin and hurt him, which he talked about in the build-up to the fight, and knowing he has the power to hurt him, and he didn't think Devin could really, truly hurt him to the point of getting him out of there, he knew that Devin was concussed. I mean, these fighters are pretty smart, you know? They've hurt people. Anybody with power, the dangerous thing is this. I know a ton of fighters and trainers and blah, blah, blah. The danger is this. If you have power, the dangerous thing about a power guy is this. If you have power, you know it. Because most Power is you're born with it or you're not born with it, right? You either have it or you don't, right? So the guys that do have power, that have been boxing for any length of time, which you would expect for most guys to have started boxing at a reasonable age at the elite level, they've been hurting guys since they were teenagers, like David Benavidez. He'd been hurting grown men. Gervonta Davis been breaking noses and jaws and sparring, and they need new sparring partners to come in because he's hurting all the sparring partners. So Mike Tyson, he was knocking people out in the streets 13, 14 years old. So that's the danger with the power puncher, is they know what they possess in those gloves or in those fists, right? They know they have the power to hurt you. And for Devin, unfortunately, if he doesn't have the power, like he bulked up, added weight, which we'll get to later in this video. He did all these things and still doesn't have the power to finish the job in Regis Prograis, smaller Lomachenko, and same thing with Ryan Garcia. And I think that insecurity plus some of what Bill Haney did antics-wise, which we'll talk about later in this video, stay tuned to the end, has really put this black cloud over Devin Haney's career right now. Now, I know you guys are enjoying this video. Please continue to support the channel. All the different links are in the description. Hit the like button, subscribe, all that good stuff. This is content that I love to do. If you guys love it, please show it in the various ways that you can. If you gain any value from this here video, Ryan Garcia absolutely pleaded with the father, manager, and trainer of Devin Haney, Bill Haney. You guys seen it in that edit at the beginning. And to be honest, it was pretty painful to watch. Some fights can be like that, like the Errol Spence fight. You just see a guy who's deflated, defeated, getting hurt, getting beat to the punch, getting beat up, and you just like, all right, we've seen what we needed to see here, right? Terrence Crawford, in his fight, he excelled. Errol Spence came up short, so the referee stoppage in the Errol Spence fight was right on time. Crawford's too dangerous. He wasn't hurt in the fight. He's one of boxing's best finishers, and Errol Spence, for whatever reason that night, he just didn't have it, right? And the same thing with Devin Haney. But the reason that Boxingego believes that this fight is worse is because between Naoya Inoue and Terrence Crawford, some people would say other people, Bivol and Usyk and stuff. A lot of great fighters in boxing, but a lot of people have it down to either Inoue or Crawford. So Errol Spence lost and he was actually stopped. Devin Haney technically wasn't stopped, but he should have been stopped. We all know that. If you're fair with yourself, then, and you look yourself as a man in the mirror and you do not lie to yourself, I think it's safe to say that Ryan was robbed of a stoppage. And it's funny because the Devin Haney man fans, they keep talking about how Ryan cheated. And I will get to that in this video, but they're basically saying Ryan strategically missed weight by 3.2 pounds and came into the fight. He was too big. I do not want to hear it for so many reasons. I will share with you a few. For one reason is Devin Haney has played the same type of weight games with others. Guys like Lomachenko look mad smaller than him. Regis Prograis was undersized because he blew up overnight 25 pounds. I've made content. I've made videos. Don't make me make more, right? We know it. So when you get the short end of the stick and you are the person who's perceived as the smaller man and you let Ryan and his team, or this strategy of bullying the weight bully, finesse you, that is 100% your fault. And I'll explain it. For those who maybe haven't subscribed, you should subscribe because I've already covered it. I cover all things boxing, some UFC and MMA. But the reason why we can't cry over spilt milk now that Devin Haney was punished by Ryan Garcia is because, yes, Ryan missed weight, 3.2 pounds. I talked about it. Anybody who misses weight, I say the same thing. It's unprofessional. Get your stuff together, make the weight. His body rejected it. It was a strategy. Whatever reason, it doesn't really matter the reason. See, there's a lot of people in this current society that we live in, and they care so much about the semantics. I practice stoicism. So you control the things that you can control. The external things you worry a lot less about, and you just try to figure out your life that way, right? So in practicing stoicism, it doesn't really matter why he missed weight. A lot of people are trying to distract you because Ryan tweeted, "Oh, Floyd Mayweather told me to miss weight." What does that matter? He missed weight. Missing weight is missing weight is missing weight. So you don't lose extra points because Floyd told you. I don't even know if Floyd told him or if they're just trolling Devin Haney because Bill Haney has created these enemies in boxing and talk trash where now, the enemy of my enemy is my friend kind of deal. And now they're just taunting and trolling him. So I don't really know that Floyd Mayweather was in Ryan's ear like, pss, pss, hey, missed by 3.2. But again, don't let them distract you. The point remains, he missed it. Tis, 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 shame on you. But in the history of boxing, Ryan is not the first person to miss weight. People are focusing in on the reason and who told him to, if Floyd told him to. But many fighters, and I can tell you the fights because I cover boxing and I'm the best in the business and it's not even close. Many fighters have missed weight. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. has missed weight several times. In fact, he missed when he fought the Polish fighter, Andres Fonfara, right? And Andres Fonfara, they did the same thing as Haney Garcia. They renegotiated and came up with new terms since Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. had missed weight. And those terms were agreed upon. Chavez Jr., being the A side or whatnot, had to pay a fine and pay, penalty, same way, same concept. And at the end of the day, the fight was allowed to continue. They decided for the saving the event that let's keep this thing going. Let's keep this show going. And as a boxer, especially if you're the Haneys who claimed that they were the faces of boxing, you know the rules of boxing. You know the do's and don'ts. So it to me, instead of coming up with these excuses, it poses more questions to the Haneys, and I'll get to that. So as you guys see, so I don't lie, it says Chavez Fonfara, there was $100K fine in place for each pound. So Fonfara took the money and agreed to continue the fight. Not only did he continue the fight, but let me remind you that he won the fight, right? So Fonfara ended up beating Chavez Jr., right? And I know Fonfara, shout out to my brother, Andres Fonfara, did some work with him. So the moment you agree to the new terms and say, I still got him, he's still in the scope, then it's fair game. That's what Devin Haney and his team did. So the questions that a lot of people aren't asking but me are, why did the Haneys move like this? Why did you have no rematch clause in place? Why did you agree to fight him after you missed weight? Why didn't you make Ryan Garcia do a same day weigh-in? Because I'll tell you why. They didn't think Ryan could do what he did and beat them. That's the only plausible option, that you would be so negligent on the business side of all these issues, right? You have two West Coast fighters You put him in the East Coast. That was a weird move. Weird move. You lost to Ryan 3 times in the amateurs, and you beat Ryan 3 times in the amateurs, and you guys said it was the game 7. It was the make or break fight. It counts, I believe, is the tagline, right? You said these things. So you knew the importance of this fight. You came in as the champion, WBC champion. Why no rematch clause? Why are you giving Ryan the lion's share of the money when you told the whole world that you were the face of boxing and the Mayweather era was over and the Gervonta Davis era is over? And then now you lose to someone that Gervonta Davis knocked out and dropped and beat all rounds. Now we're talking about, oh, the weight counted and things like that. Tough titty. You should have not fought him. Andres Fonfara did the same thing and got a victory. You agreed to the new terms. So if you knew the man was heavy, cancel the bout. That's your option. Or they even had a guy on the undercard who they told you at the LA press conference was brought in for any last minute pullouts. If Ryan Garcia was tripping, if Ryan Garcia was not focused, if Ryan Garcia didn't show up. Arnold Barbosa, and he lost his fight that night, in my opinion, to the Irish dude, Sean Puffy McComb, right? He was brought in for that exact reason. So you had an option there. The Haneys, they stayed in the casino too long. To this point, they made some very good choices with Undisputed. No one had a problem with that. Kambosos, Australia fights, go to Top Rank, bounce back to Eddie Hearn, fought Lomachenko. That was, pretty close. And then Regis Prograis. So you went from the Regis Prograis fight just in December, 133 days later, you fight Ryan Garcia, the youngest person you've really fought of that stature with a name. He had almost equal size, equal reach in terms of height and the weight class, the age lined up. He knows you from the amateurs, and you guys went into this cold, and now I'm seeing a lot of crying. You didn't put a rematch clause in there. I mean, you even had Devin Haney's cornerman when Ryan Garcia was getting his hands wrapped, and he was saying stuff like, oh man, we walked into Ryan's dressing room, other people are playing rap music and whoop, whoop, whoop. And Ryan was just calm. The energy in there was just calm. They had an orchestra. They were playing classical music. And Ryan was just really dialed in and getting his mind right. That's why you never underestimate a fighter. Meanwhile, Bill Haney, Devin Haney, they were on a nice little path. They were off their best performance as far as I'm concerned with the best name, Regis Prograis. And they got too close to the sun. Devin Haney's worried about trying to be like Mayweather, and he got the Fear of God shoes. Like, the fit looked dope, but who cares if the fit looks dope and you're getting slid around the ring in that fit? Do you see what I'm saying? Like, coming out with a dope ring walk and, a dope like ensemble, trunks look nice. You got them made somewhere. You got these custom shoes. All that's fine and dandy, but when you lose the fight in that fashion, nobody really cares about, oh, his shoes were dope though, because the reason there was so much focus on the Devin Haney shoes is because we kept seeing it, because he was sliding around and getting knocked down, and his feet were in the air, his bottom was in the air, all that type of stuff. So it was really a bad night for the Haneys, and I've showed you that this fight should have been stopped. Ryan is literally begging Bill Haney to stop, and Bill Haney said no. And it's funny because Henry Garcia just did an interview with Fight Hype, and in this interview, Henry virtually says everything. And when I say everything, almost verbatim, everything that I've said on my channel. There's no way anyone at this point can tell me that I'm not the best in the business, and it's not even close. Henry was absolutely cooking. So in the Fight Hype interview, Henry Garcia he just went off on Bill Haney. He said he's a horrible dad, horrible father, horrible trainer, and he really almost got his son hurt. And he said the dynamics changed when he started saying that stuff about like taking it further than it needed to be in boxing and saying that we want to KILL Ryan in the ring. And if he eyes Ivan Drago voice, right? When he started making it about something like, you know, that was mortal and saying basically he wanted Ryan Garcia to perish off this earth and he wanted his son to do all that, he said it became a different game. And Henry also said that he, as a father and trainer, he got his son into the sport, but he knows his position, he knows his role. He said, my son listens to me, but he's okay with somebody else training his son that cares about him, is going to show him maybe more than what Henry's capable of. And I respect that. He's like Bill Haney, on the other hand, he won't stay out the way. He says he's selfish. And I'm just paraphrasing. You guys can definitely watch the interview online to hear verbatim what he's saying. But me paraphrasing, he's like, Bill Haney's selfish. He made it about him. The whole thing became about him. And that's true. This is exactly what I told you. If you listen, Bill Haney even says stuff like, man, we're going to destroy him. But it's not a we thing in boxing. This is not Nintendo. It's not a we. That's a bar. There's no we there. Devin got to make good on all these checks that you're writing. And you set him up for failure. Like I said, he's not a big puncher. And now it's been rumored, but now I think it's pretty well confirmed that he doesn't have the best of chins. He doesn't have a insane chin at best. It's questionable, sus. And now Ryan exploited these flaws. And Henry Garcia and Ryan Garcia, everything they were saying leading up to the fight virtually came true. They said, we're going to hurt him. Wait till he feels our power. He's going to be clinching, running, stuff like that. And that's what we've seen. Devin was really surviving off of being in good shape and being disciplined in the buildup. And Ryan showing mercy. And then also Devin is a testament to Devin does have heart. I keep it real in boxing. But Bill Haney is going to get his son hurt because he won't stand down and step out of the way. He's fractured relationships. And it's funny that Ego, Henry Garcia, Ryan Garcia's dad, and Floyd Mayweather all keep telling you the same thing. Floyd is like, he talking like he gonna get in the ring. He said that to Zab Judah, who's Devin's godfather, right? And you can't, that's not boxing. You can't make it about you, but then you're not getting in the ring. So all the stuff you said, your son has to be able to pull the trigger. You told Ryan to stand in the center and trade. You put pressure on your boy Devin Haney to make good on all the stuff you were talking. Now, Devin is not excluded from it because he did say stuff like Ryan's an average fighter. He's a C+ fighter. I'm going to make it look easy. He said, I'm going to take a fight that isn't easy and make it look easy. And for that, the whole team failed. You failed in all these things, and you were shook when you seen Ryan Garcia was cool, calm, collected with that orchestra and symphony in the back, and like, oh, but we had already signed. It doesn't work like that. And you're worried about being flashy and trying to be like Floyd. You got the nice shoes, the fear of God shoes, and then Ryan's posting these Muhammad Ali-esque pictures standing over your body, talking about fear me and fear the king, and he's living life, doing podcasts, showing face. Team Haney denies that his jaw has been rearranged and broken, but Henry and Ryan keep stating they're saying the jaw is broken, but we really believe they're saying the jaw is not broken, but we believe it is broken. And funny enough, Ryan's on Instagram. He's doing spaces, going live, not a scratch, a mark on his face. He just did a whole PBD podcast and his face looks like he wasn't even in the fight. Devin Haney, the closest you're seeing is that Unabomber cake video, which Henry Garcia in that interview with Fight Hype, he says, F your cake. You know, ain't nobody care about that, which is also what I said. You're like, and still, you're a champion. He's like, my son is a star. He just beat the brakes off you. Your dad almost got you hurt. So enjoy your little cake. You know, that's basically what he's saying. Enjoy your cake. Have at it. But that's ultimately not going to be something to brag about. Devin Haney may not be the same fighter after this, and you have to blame multiple people, like his dad, Harvey Doc, right? And I know some people are saying, hey, but it went 12. True. Devin showed the courage to get through it. And I also think Ryan held back, but that's a whole separate video. Regardless, you took a beating. Some fighters take certain beatings, like Meldrick Taylor, like the punishment, and either psychologically or physically or both or combination. Sometimes fighters aren't the same. And this is all because pride comes before the fall. Bill Haney brought some negative energy around Devin. And I mean, it's not just Bill, it's the whole team. But, you know, from talking bad about Richardson Hitchens when he had a tough fight with Lemos, talking bad about Shakur when he had a tough fight with Edwin De Los Santos, none of them look like Rocky Dennis, the Elephant Man, after the fight. So you can say what you want about did Hitchens win, did Shakur win, but neither one of them put on that type of performance where the most you could really give them was a big punch in round 3, which Devin couldn't capitalize on, and showing heart. Devin's in a bad spot. Ryan literally pleading with the coach and trainer and father, and he's not showing any mercy. He's acting like it's, you know, the Kumite or something, and it's just survival of the fittest. And I think that becomes a problem, and that's why some people say the father-son tandems are tricky, because some people prematurely, they see their son getting hurt and they're like, no, and they throw in the towel, and maybe they could have did something there. And then other fathers do like Bill Haney, and they're just like, nah, I'm not doing it. And part of that is because the pressure you put up, and you knew how bad you would look if Ryan got the stoppage win. So you just allowed your son to get beat on and pulverized just because you didn't want to face the music of not only Devin with a loss, but Devin with a knockout loss. So you robbed Ryan Garcia of that. This fight definitely should have been stopped. And the worst case and the danger about it is Devin doesn't have enough pop as is. So from a trainer perspective, you got to know, like, I can even understand Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder, and he's getting mad at his team for throwing in the towel, because as long as he's not fully unconscious, he has game changer power, and maybe he can like recover enough like he did with Luis Ortiz and resurrect enough strength to get the stoppage like he did in the first Ortiz fight, because he's a big puncher to begin with. Devin had no legs. It's going to be hard to generate power, and he already had minimal power to begin with. So now you've put your son in a position where he's getting hurt, he's getting battered, embarrassed, face looks crazy, jaw looks swollen, fractured, or broken, take your pick, and he doesn't really have the firepower to fend off someone his age with the speed. He couldn't stay away from the left hook. Devin literally said, the Haneys put so much pressure on themselves. Devin literally said, all he has is a left hook. Well, Ryan responded to that, said, all I need is the left hook. Watch. Ryan was right. He boxed about as good as you could expect for Ryan, and that left hook was landing, and there was no technical, clinical breakdowns from Bill Haney about how to start avoiding that left hook. This comes to what Henry is saying and what Floyd Mayweather is saying about Floyd told you, sometimes you need somebody who's been there, done that to train you, because they might know how to get you out of these sticky situations. Bill Haney, Henry said it too in this interview. Henry said that his whole team, they don't have one professional on there. Like, if you look at the whole squad, like, none of them are the people like that have been there, done that, and like won championships. Like, you know, Jermell Charlo, he's working with Derek James. Derek James is a former fighter. He also has Guzman, former fighter. You get what I'm saying? Eddie Reynoso is also a former fighter. Floyd Sr., Roger Mayweather, Jeff Mayweather, former fighters. You get what I'm saying? So more often than not, those are the guys that you could turn. Bomac with Terrence Crawford. He's a former fighter. So you see how this works? So if Terrence Crawford is down with Sean Porter, remember Bomac was like, listen, but they got you down on the scorecards. And then he knows how to get through to his guy, and Bud turned it up. And I think he got a stoppage the very next round over Sean Porter, if I'm not mistaken. That's great training. Derek James did great work with Ryan Garcia. Ryan was playing around with his brother Sean because he was up. And Derek James had to situate him like, nah, man, hey, listen. And he was like, go in there and da-da-da-da-da. And he was like, okay. Ryan was like, okay. Get your fighter's losing the focus. He's young. He's having fun. He knows he's up. Get him back in line. And Derek James did that. Bill Haney, as a trainer, failed his son. He could have got his son really hurt, and his career might not be the same after this. And none of the Haney man fans are going to tell you the cold, hard facts like Boxingego. Ryan is walking up like Roy Jones with no guard. And he's like, man, end this. Roy Jones literally did that in the fight. That's one of my favorite fighters of all time. And he's literally like, man, end this. What are you doing? Let's just call it. I bested him. He's hurt. He ain't got no leg. He's not worried about Devin Haney. He's not worried about, there's no fighter. That's like Victor Ortiz. He lost his concentration, protect yourself at all times. And then he got knocked out for it by Floyd Mayweather. If Ryan was truly worried about getting knocked out, he's not going to approach your son with his hands by his waist and be talking to someone outside of the ring. It's very evident. Subscribe.